Gojo pulled back the purple, or else it would have erased Sukuna into oblivion, and he did it because there is still hope for Megumi. Plus, he also took the W and got us the first tag, and will now be ahead as the title holder. Okay, first of all, I'm not even gonna go into the Sukuna dodge/tank debate, because holy fuck, that was a whole ass debacle, and that happened on my most recent stream, so go and watch that after you've watched this to find out my thoughts on that one, because that was a whole ass debacle. But I do think you're right in a sense. My working theory right now is that somewhere during the month, Gojo and Yuji, along with Maki, had all spoken to one another because they were the ones who had the most fight time with Sukuna and survived and were able to speak to Gojo after the fact. And I can't see Gojo sacrificing his students so easily, so I do believe Gojo could have increased the output of Hollow Purple, but I don't think he did it so he would completely harm Megumi's body. And I know there's going to be a lot of Sukuna fans out there that call that copium, but I think narratively I can't see Gojo just absolutely annihilating his student just because fuck him, you know what I'm saying? Secondly, I also believe that Yuki passed this book down to Choso and Yuji. I think that's going to have some very, very vital information, and I know I keep harping on about this right now, but Yuki's death can't have been for nothing, which right now it seems it has been, and this book I think is the boon of Yuki's life here. So I'm a firm believer in the plot point that this book is going to influence the story in a very, very big and major way. And as all of you know, if you've been around the channel a long enough time, the theory of souls within Jujutsu Kaisen is something that really interests me, and I think JJK has only scratched the surface with the theory and how important they all are and how important they will be in the future. But I also believe that at the same time that JJK hasn't explained everything and will never explain everything, because it is a very contentious and debatable subject. Even in real life, people are still trying to figure out whether they believe in souls or whether they exist or whether they don't exist. It's a thing that happens even in real life, and I think JJK is trying to emulate that thing. It just keeps that air of mystery around the story for us to keep us all invested. But the TLDR is, yes, I think Gojo didn't increase purple anymore. It was just as a means of testing how much damage he needs to do to Sukuna without it being fatal. And as for how the gang are going to rescue Megumi and his soul, we'll just have to wait and see. Because I genuinely can't see them just saying fuck him and sending that man to the Shadow Realm via the realms of a nice sparkly purple finger flicking boogie. You know what I'm saying? By the way, if you haven't already figured out at this point, this is a member video. It's something that I do regularly on the channel. If you want to be a part of, consider becoming a member to the channel for a whole bunch of exclusive goodies. Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, hashtag sellout. Not really sure where I was going with that a little bit. Anyway, what plot points do you see, if any, that you want to see get tied up that are now seemingly a lost cause? For me, it's the US soldiers, because some of them had intros and everything, as well as the Star Plasma vessels, who are still functioning. I'm actually glad you actually asked this, because this is a neat little segue off the back of the last question, and things I would like to see tied up is the Curse Realm, something we see Kenjaku use to ferry out civilians out of the Cullen games, and like I said, there's also the Star Plasma vessels, who have more of an effect on the story, and I would finally tie it up. Finally, as I mentioned in the last question, is that little book of Yuki's, which I think the Star Plasma vessels and Yuki, as well as this book, may all finally get tied up within this thing, and it may even answer the Curse Realm theory. However, the theory I have on this is something a lot of people missed, is Yuki, as a former Star Plasma vessel herself, was investigating souls as well as removing cursed energy, as she wants to remove cursed energy completely, and Kenjaku wants to optimize it. But she also mentions how she can hear the voices from inside Tengen from the previous Star Plasma vessels, and when Tengen asks her if she'll tell her what they are saying, Yuki replies with, no, why the hell would I tell you that? No, get fucked. Well, my theory here is that Yuki wanted to spend more time with Tengen, hence why she opted to stay when the guys were doing the perfect preparation arc, so she could not only speak to Tengen, but also listen to what these Star Plasma vessels had to say. If they've become Tengen, it's a good assumption to make that they may act in a similar way to how Sukuna was within Yuji and within Megumi. When Sukuna was in those bodies, he gains all their memories and their experience, and he sees what they see. So if they've been inside Tengen now, it's a good assumption to make that they had also gained all of Tengen's memories, and they may have been able to give us extremely useful information to Yuki about how souls work, or anything else that she may have wanted to know about Tengen without Tengen knowing, because Tengen does say that she can no longer hear those voices. And if that's the case, those voices could actually speak to Yuki without Tengen's knowledge and tell Yuki everything that she needed to know. But as for the US military, I took that kind of stuff as face value. It's something that I've forgotten about and put at the back of my mind. However, for a time there, I was convinced that Cyrus Vale was going to be a big villain within this. Considering the series is wrapping up, I've kind of just took it at face value and forgotten about it. But if it came to the point where copium involved, JJK did want to continue the series here and, you know, wanted to put an extra couple of years into it. I do further believe that this would be a major point for JJK to expand the series of Jujutsu Kaisen from just confined to Japan to being a global thing. But again, we'll just have to wait and see what JJK has for us planned first, because Personally, I'm still holding on to the copium that Keke only meant that he's going to wrap up the story of the Culling Games this year and not the whole story of Jujutsu Kaisen. Like I said, that's really just fucking deep-seated copium from myself here. Sukuna about to get clocked next chapter, but will summon the Maharaga at the end for a cliffhanger. Honestly, I could see this happening, but as I've said plenty of times now, I could see this fight going 50-50 for some time, and as I've said, I see it being a chapter with Gojo going on the offensive, with Sukuna being on the defensive for the next chapter, while Sukuna goes on the offense and Gojo being on the defense. However, what I will say is Sukuna's time to heal his right arm here is something that I've seen others pointing out. When Yuki healed her arm against Kenjaku, that was almost instantly. It took like a few seconds, I'm assuming here, to do that. And we saw Sukuna subconsciously heal his arm way back when. So it does make me wonder if Gojo does have some sort of way to attack / interact with souls. And as I've said many times now, we saw him call out to Geto's soul during the Shibuya. What are you doing? Just relax. Okay, you can just... We saw him call out to Geto's soul during Shibuya here, and the punch on Uraumi still hurts even after being healed via RCT. But again, we'll just have to wait. I am convinced Gojo does have some sort of way to interact with souls, and I'm also convinced Sukuna has the same ability. Gojo due to his 6 eyes, and Sukuna just being a fucking menace. However, what I will say is that the Maharaga isn't going to be as crazy as a factor as what people seem to think in this fight, in my opinion. The Maharaga can be taken out with any attack that can overwhelm its adaptation, and Gojo's Hollow Purple fits this build perfectly in the same way that Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine fitted this perfectly. However, what I will say is going to be the problem for Gojo is Sukuna's use of the Dharma Chakra. If Gojo has the Infinity Technique, which will be a problem to get past in almost any fight where Gojo is mentioned, everyone says, how's he going to get past Infinity? That's Gojo's Problem Child technique. Now, going forward into this fight, I think Sukuna's Problem Child technique is going to be his use of the Dharma Chakra Wheel, which he was testing out against Yoruzu, which I think he will most likely perfect or has already done so, and will use it against Gojo effectively if it works in the same way that we've all theorized. However, what I will say is now that his arm is destroyed, if he's taken time to heal that arm, he can't use hand signs right now. Same way that he broke the hand seals for Megumi's Maharaga, it could be the exact same thing right now. Maybe Gojo was specifically targeting that arm for that same purpose. But either way, Gojo and Sukuna are going to have an absolute chess match on their hands trying to figure out each other's techniques. And regardless of what side you sit on for this fight, whether you want Sukuna to win or Gojo to lose, or Gojo to win and Sukuna to lose, you're going to win regardless, because this fight is going to be fucking generational as far as I'm concerned. We saw a panel of Hikari, Maki, and Yuta all getting ready for their fight. What are the chances of them fighting together? Honestly, I would love to see a 3v1 of them against Kenjaku personally, but also at the same time, I also want it to be a straight 1v1 between Yuta and Kenjaku, even though Yuta has already stated he will be the one to kill Kenjaku. But honestly, I'm genuinely not sure how this goes, purely because numbers-wise, Kenjaku and Sukuna are kind of outnumbered right now. Unless Uraumi gets involved, I'm not sure how this goes purely based off their numbers, or unless other new sorcerers all of a sudden become introduced, which I think is kind of late in the series, but that then feeds into the copium of me saying how the series isn't going to end this year, and it's just the story of the Culling Games going to end this year. Copium sucking on that fat canister of copium right now, holy fuck. But it could be more likely that we see Sukuna, Kenjaku, Uraumi, and maybe even Tengen under Kenjaku's control fighting against our group. But matchup-wise, I would be down to see all 4 of these motherfuckers getting jumped, because it is genuinely about time our heroes caught some fucking W's in the win column right now. I swear to God. I'm tired of seeing our boys lose right now. I personally believe that Yuta killed the higher-ups and not Gojo, and Kashimo was killed off-screen by Sukuna. Either that, or he is waiting to see who is really stronger, Gojo or Sukuna, and will eventually challenge the winner. Listen, I'm gonna keep it a stack, but I think Kashimo is dead and fucking buried. It might not even, it wouldn't even surprise me if what we saw Sukuna eating was fucking Kashimo in the previous chapters here. His character and the way he is written was only focused on Sukuna. That was all he cared about, and as I've said plenty of times, this dude was willing to die in his fight with Hikari just to save him using his technique on Hikari. This dude only wants to use that technique on Sukuna, and he was willing to die against Hikari because of that same fact. And we also know that this dude is incredibly impatient. We saw him in the Culling Games running through multiple fucking fighters also looking for Sukuna. So I just genuinely can't get it into my head that Kashimo is going to wait around for a month to fight Sukuna, and I think he's probably left as soon as he found out Hikari wasn't actually Sukuna's senpai like he said he was, and got his fucking ass whooped. But because the team are just like, we don't really care about you. You are extra firepower right now, but we don't actually need you right now. Off you fuck. bye, we'll plan without you, that's fine. But as for Yuta killing the higher ups, I actually talked about this on my most recent stream, which after this video, go and watch, feel free, plenty more content there for you. But we find out it actually may have been Kenjaku who wiped them out, or at least the one that ordered Yuji's execution here. But as for Yuta, I genuinely just can't see him doing this. Even if Gojo had asked this, I do think it would just be a nice parallel though if it was Kenjaku who wiped out half and then Gojo who did the others. Considering Gojo had already considered this earlier on in the series, and then we also had Geto challenging Gojo's ideals on this in his past arc, I think it's genuinely possible that after getting out of the prison realm, Gojo was like, do you know what, I'm a criminal either way, no more fucking games, let's wipe these bitches out. Because as far as everyone else is concerned right now, everyone right now who helped Gojo get out of the prison realm is now qualified as a criminal within the world of Jujutsu Kaisen right now. What do you think the biggest misconception is that most JJK fans have on the series? I think a lot of fans have many misconceptions about the series, myself included, and I think, however, the biggest ones is that our heroes are gonna have this nice happy-go-lucky ending in this stereotypical shonen style. And honestly, I am genuinely bracing myself for an ending where everyone loses something or someone in one way or another. Gege has already said out of the first years and Gojo, either one survives and the rest die, or one dies and the rest survive. And in my opinion, I could see it being Gojo who was the last man standing. Yuji, as we already know, is literally ready to throw everything, his life included, away to beat Sukuna. Nobara is basically 50-50 on whether she is alive or not right now in the current fucking situation. Megumi has sunken into the abyss of Sukuna's soul, and it's very possible we never see his soul come back ever again. So as it stands right now, it's genuinely not looking good for our heroes. But again, as I said, I could be fucking wrong here. It could be Gojo who dies in this fight, taking out Sukuna and somehow freeing Megumi's soul, and we see like this triumphant return for not only Megumi but also Nobara, and it could be her who helps. Could be a Deus Ex Machina of Nobara coming back and using that last finger of Sukuna as a renaissance attack to harm the soul. I'm not entirely sure, we will have to wait and see, but I do think regardless it is going to be a very emotional and bittersweet ending for everyone involved in the series so far. But that is everything from me. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. We are genuinely closing in on 10,000 subscribers, which is fucking insane, and I never thought I would ever come this far in terms of YouTube. Like, genuinely, it is actually wild in my brain to think about this. So I just wanted to say genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all the love and support. It has been a wild ride these past couple of months. If you know, you know. And having a community that has genuinely been excited to watch me and listen to me and hang out on the streams and hang out in the Discord and just talk with me and just have a good time with all the others. That's crazy, and it's something that will forever be an alien concept to me that people want to see and hear me fucking speak, because I'm a fucking idiot, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm an idiot, just cooks up some crazy fucking theories, but you guys really enjoy that shit, and that will forever mean the world and more than what I could ever explain to you guys. But that being said, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Much love, big kisses, peace.